Hey guys, Anthony, 4x4 Diesel. This is really important diagnostic information. Seems to be a lot of people around again asking questions that haven't been watching videos and that haven't gone back to watch the older videos. So we'll do it again. First thing I'm going to do is get the engine started and we'll get the ball rolling with the information. Alright, so it's a cold start. That's why I've got it at all the way that way. You can see coolant temp 13 degrees. You'd have all your accessories, everything turned off. Okay, give you an idea what things are when you first start it up cold, including the load reading right there. Calculate load, a very important one. Now let's hurry up and get down and have a look at these individual feedback values when they're cold and see what happens, even though this could lead you in the wrong direction. That's why it's important that you watch carefully, watch and listen, and still go and watch all the other diagnostic videos. Just search on my YouTube channel, diagnostic information, learn diagnostics, stuff like that it's going to be called. Now we did one the other day, I don't know if I've released it yet. It was on a 150 Prado, only 90,000 Ks, 2015. Number 4 injector was going up quite high. I'm about to say we're going to get caught out, and this 120 is going to do the same thing because number 4's got a little bit of a reading on it. I've done a video saying, you know, whether you should or shouldn't worry about injectors and what normal noise is, what is and isn't normal noise. Can't keep going over the same information over and over again. People are going to get bored. We're going to do a bit of that anyway. This engine is in very good condition. It's got injectors that are in very good condition. It does make some noise. It's had the suction control valve done. The air filter's clean, the sensors are clean. Now it is a cold engine, we're not going to rev the nuts off it. I hope you take a note of what the readings are, because I would say this is when everything's normal and good and okay. If you stick around long enough, if I can hold the phone long enough, because I'm getting a sore arm, might have to reposition, you'll learn something. What we're going to do is just give it a little rev. So you can hear it's a 120, right? That's what they sound like. Sounds like it's got a bit of a rattle there. Cold weather, cold engine. You're going to get that, especially in a 120. The 150s hide it better. If you get noise in a 150, see, this is the thing I've mentioned before. It's hard for you to tell what's normal and what's not. It is very difficult. It's difficult to hear noises on videos. This, even once it's warm, it makes some noises when you're driving it. So, you know, the injectors are 10,000 Ks old. There's nothing wrong with the engine or the injectors. Some of them do make noise, okay, and that's about to fall, so it must be time to reposition. So I'm going to try and do that. Try and get a bit more comfortable here so we can concentrate on the information. And you know, it's one of those ones where I just want to turn it that way because it fits the screen better. But you know, I can't stand videos that way. I mean, you can't turn your TV sideways, can you? So, and then if I'd started off the other way, you just have these blacks, you know. I think videos always got to be done this way. I'll be looking in the comments. Tell me what you think. Should the videos be this way in a landscape, or when the picture suits the portrait, should we turn it the other way? Okay, so let's have a look at some of these parameters, because people are asking, you know, can you tell me what they are? Because you give some information and then some people think they're entitled to ask for more. Now, just be happy with the information you get. If you want more, press the search function. Don't make me do it again. I've already done that. I've already given you the time, given you the information. Use it. It's still there. There's hundreds of videos. You got catch-up time. Okay? Now, we'll go through it again. See that? We just wanted to have a look at the individual feedbacks. What I wanted to say is they do that. Okay? Now, what do they all mean? People say, what do they all mean? I explained it. That many videos is not funny, I thought. But anyway, not just on my YouTube channel, also on our Facebook pages and groups. You know, you can search older information. That's the YouTube channel. Only started really using that in 2019. It's only about a year old. Okay, we only got semi-serious about it about a year ago. It's now middle of 2020, so about a year, you know. About a year, about 10,000 subscribers, and about quite a few hundred videos. So we're definitely putting the time in. Please. Why am I talking? Well, because I want you to go and watch the other videos, because this is already done, but we're going to do it again. Latest up-to-date information. Now remember, there's a few variables, okay? See, by now, it gave you time to get your pen and paper ready, because you need to study these things. You need to think about it. Otherwise, you'll get your information confused. I'm not confused. This is what I do. But for you guys that don't do this every day, you probably need to take some notes. The differences. Okay, so you've got your early Hiluxes 05, 06. Then you've got your, they changed at about the middle of 06 to keep it simple, say about the middle of 06, like we say. Then they changed again about September 09. And then the 1kds were basically the same till the end, right? So different injectors and non-DLCs and DLCs and different things like that, but generally. Now, what you got to remember is the differences between those three different types of injectors. You get different readings and results. What's going on here? Okay, so when we do a video, I'm going to be specific and tell you what vehicle it is. And the other thing that matters a lot is whether it's auto or manual. Okay, auto or manual, the main thing it affects is the load reading, which I still think is a very important reading. We're going to get back to that in a minute. We're still watching that number 4 while I have a bit of a chit chat with you, and we're also watching the injection volume. See how it's already come down to about 8? That there's a number of things we're going to look at here. So I'm going to paint a picture, but remember, this is a 120 Prado. A manual's different. A Hilux is different because the auto's different. It's got a smaller torque converter. Don't worry about why. Autos, manuals, different autos, and then you've got your 150 Prados, and you've got the same engine and system in Hiluxes. Once they've got the same transmission, should be the same because the torque converter is the same weight. It all creates load and changes things, okay? More fuel on a 150, you're going to see higher injection volume because that's how they roll, okay? Now, keep it simple. This is a 120 Prado, so with a 1kd in Australia from about 06 till 2009, with a most common 5-speed auto, the A750F, the one I love. Okay, love these engines and transmissions, that is correct. Now, go back to the top, and we'll start with a few things up here. We're not going to do everything because there's heaps. We're going to show you the things that matter, the things you need to know about. When the engine's cold, not when it's warming up, engine speed's going to vary. Once it's at operating temp, it's going to be on 700 APM. Moving down to the next one, load. Have you noticed how it was really high when we started the engine, around 30, 40? That's normal. Don't look at that when it's cold. Don't even look at the load when it's cold. If you want to look at it after this amount of runtime, which you can find, see at the bottom, 458 seconds, you know, about 8 minutes. That's what your load should be, roughly, you know what I mean? Ballpark. Now, I'll give you the specification on the load, okay? On an auto, remember, new injectors are going to be anything, could be as low as 10, usually around 11. I'd say either side of 11, 10 to 12 is what you're going to see generally on a 120 Prado when everything's working right. So if we keep this video going long enough and you stick around, you'll see that load reading. I'll be surprised if it's not down around 11, 12, but it needs to warm up. You can see the coolant temp, it's on 48. It's got a little way to go yet, right? If we accelerate, you can see the load goes up. Right, now if we turn the aircon on, you can see the load goes up. See, it's around 20. So the aircon and everything needs to be off. See that? Load it, the load percentage goes up, back off, it drops to 0 momentarily, and then back to what. So without getting too technical, understand that's what the reading should be. It's different on a 150. Watch a 150 video. Watch this, watch a 150, watch both, watch this one, watch that one. If you watch them all, then you'll know what I know. You won't have to ask me anything because you'll know what I know. That's the idea, to give it all in the end. Some of it we're saving in the VIP group, something special there. But you know what? Just be happy with what you've got. A lot of good information here. So, load reading, that's going to come down. What should it be on the auto? Like I said, at the bottom end, new injectors, either side of 11. At the top end, this is the way I look at it. 12, you're all good. 13, yeah, you're all good. 14, keep an eye on those. 15, definitely start saving. 16, you need new injectors. Okay, that's a ballpark guide. Okay, specification is something like 15.9 or something like that. Now, you know, my numbers, I vary them, you know. As I've said, when they write the books on servicing and specifications and talk specs, they're all pretty good. It is Toyota, but things change, and if we've been working on something for 10 or 15 years and we find something that's a little bit different, or a recommendation that can be different that's better, then we change a little bit. And look, we're not trying to say we're better than Toyota, but sometimes the information changes with experience and practice, 15 years of working on the vehicles, including Toyota, but they don't go and change the books to, you know, reflect that, if you know what I mean. So quietening down a little bit. It's about what they normally sound like. So it is normal to hear a bit of noise when they're cold, so don't panic. So you know what the load's meant to be? 11 to 16, okay? Round figures, 11 to 16. 11's good, 16's time to go, bye-bye selling, right? Somewhere in the middle, you're sort of in the middle. At the moment, it hasn't warmed up. We're going to come back to it. I can't be more thorough than that, can I? I'll add another little tip. This isn't a manual, but if it's a manual, lower your load reading by about 3. So you're going to see sort of 8s and 9s, right? And then, of course, they're flogged when you sort of start to see 13s, 14s, you know? Thereabouts. So there's that bit of information, the difference with a manual. Let's go back to those other readings. Okay, what's all this mean? Well, I'm not going to tell you what it all means. I'll tell you the ones that matter. The one that matters at the top, injection volume or total fuel volume on different scan tools, as I said in the video the other day. I'll say as I said, but I don't know if I released that one yet. Stay tuned. Make sure you subscribe and you got the bell on, so when it comes through, bada bing, you know where it is. You know when to see it. On these vehicles, a 120 Prado with a 5-speed auto, the injection volume with new injectors is going to be close to 6. It might be under, it might be over. Look, you know, 5 to 6, 6-ish is okay. I'm not saying that if it's 7 there's a problem. You know, there's variables. There's different factors that change things a little bit. As soon as you increase the revs a little bit, or an alternator load, or load from anything, or, you know, you've got a flogged water pump or bearing, right? So, look, you know, like, tiniest little change, you know, it goes up, right? So as soon as you change your load on the, I'm not going to do it, but you could probably get a piece of wood and lean it against your alternator on the outside of the belt and just gently lever and create a load that would make that go nuts. I haven't done that yet. Maybe that's another video, right? But hope you notice as it's warming up, it's coming down to what I'm talking about. I've used this one as an example because I'm going to say this is probably the best condition 1kd engine instead of injectors in any 120 Prado, okay? So this is like, kind of like a new one. So if you want to know what a new one would do after 10,000 Ks, this is your video, okay? This is for you. Don't worry about the feedback for idle, okay? That varies a little bit. Shouldn't be more than about 4 on this model, okay? Now, feedback for learning is usually on 0, so don't worry about that either. Now, see 1, 2, 3s and 4s? Wouldn't worry about them either, because they can be up a little bit when the injectors are good, when they're new engine, new injectors, whatever, and they can be down looking at 0s and 0.2s when there's a problem. So don't worry about those too much. Small part of the picture, but know that the limit of where they should be plus or minus 3, okay? So see the little, you can see the little minus, and then the pot. So that's adding and subtracting fuel individually to those cylinders, okay? To even out the horsepower, if you like, between the, for, you know, you got 4 cylinders there, trying to make it nice and even, smooth idle, right? And it is idling beautifully. And they, at idle, usually don't change when you rev the engine, but I'll give you this as a little tip for people that watch. When you've got a problem and you drive the vehicle, it may go up. So it's a little bit of a hint as to if you've got something going on, you're not sure, drive the vehicle and see what happens, right? It will magnify the problem, if you know what I mean. Kind of like, yeah, I don't know, there's that word thing again. The word, that wasn't the word I wanted, but kind of like means like Anyway, this isn't English, okay? Right, now, so feedback values, everybody keeps going places, getting their diagnostics done here and there and putting up feedback values. And why are they still doing it? Because 15 minutes in, they're not watching the video, right? They missed the whole point. Small part of the picture. It's important to watch, and you'll see that in the other video, because I'm in the other video, if you haven't seen it yet or you're about to see it, whatever, on the 150 with the number 4 that's kind of off its head. It's got a bit of a knock to the engine where there's a problem. I'll say there's a problem there listening to that. I look at the diagnostic, there's a problem. How did we find it? We found it looking at the individual feedbacks and looking at them cold, because it went away when it was hot. But very small part of the picture, and sometimes it can lead you to think there's a problem when there's not. So it is a bit difficult to understand, but know that those feedbacks are a small part of the picture. Quite often when they're cold, it's like a camera focusing in and out, you know, closer, further, in and out, till it gets just right. Well, kind of they do that a bit. They can go hunting up and down, usually within the 3 zone though, right? Usually. The limit of the software on these vehicles is 5. Those readings there, those 4 readings there, will not go higher than plus or minus 5. It doesn't mean it's actually doing, you know, it's off its head basically. Your injector's off its head if it's plus or minus 5. If you see any of those readings at plus or minus 5, you've got a problem. If it's doing it when it's warm, you've got a bigger problem. Don't drive the vehicle, change them, and hope that there hasn't been damage done to the engine. Now, I don't want you to panic, because 99% of the time it's going to be fine, okay? But understand, it can be possible. So get them out. Don't keep asking questions. Don't pass go. Shoot me a text with your name, vehicle details, and we'll organise your set of injectors, a complete kit with all the pop, seals, gaskets, and all the other bits and pieces. We'll send you a video to watch so you know what's in there. Okay, pilot 1 and pilot 2. Not that important usually. They normally sit about 430. Quite interestingly, again, happens in videos. See how pilot 2 is jumping up to 480 every now and then. What's going on there? That is a bit unusual. They don't normally do that. That's why we're going to have to do some more diagnostic videos. Expect them to be coming your way so that you can compare what's normal and what's not. Now, specification is about 50 either way on those. So I think spec might be, I don't know if it's, is it 430 or 428 or 430? Something bizarre around 430 anyway. And it's allowed, I think it says 380 to 480 or something like that. Yeah. So it's not really jumping outside that. Maybe once it's warm, it's going to steady off. We'll see. We'll come back to it. The engine's warming up. I'd guess it's about 70 or 80 degrees. Probably not quite 80. It's getting there. We'll give it a bit of a helping hand, and so that you can see what happens with those readings when we do that. Look what happens. As soon as it gets to certain conditions, look at that, right? Okay. The other really important one, main injection period, okay? So who can tell me the important ones so far? Load, injection volume, and main injection period. Who said that? I said that, okay? On a 120 Prado, don't be confused, right? You want to know about the 150? Go watch those videos. Different. Same, different, same, someone would say. Main injection period should be around about the 600. Okay, now main injection period does jump around a fair bit, so don't be too concerned about that, but I want to show you what normal jumping around is. Now this can jump around if you haven't done your SCV and you got the short one. Besides those other symptoms you can have, or problems without really noticing the symptoms, I just want to be clear, if you've got a long SCV, you don't need to worry about it. The short ones are problematic. Make sure you replace it with a long one. Okay. It doesn't mean it's not going to have wear and tear problems, and that a new long one won't be better even if you've got a long one. But I don't think you need to do it. I think waste of money. I'm not here to sell you crap you don't need, okay? So the long ones, I'm not worried about them at this stage. The odd person does replace them, and they can provide some feedback. If you're one of those people, please shoot me a text. Let me know. I had the long one in, I put another long one. Yeah, definitely felt better or not, and why, please describe, so that we can have that information to share. Main injection period should be 600. It's really testing me now. What's it allowed to do? It's about 50 either way. Let me think about this. Is it 580 to 680 or I really can't remember. I've got to go back and have a look at a book again. It's been too long, but this is what I remember. I've got my own specs in my head because I like to make them up myself from what's normal. If I see new engines and I see new injectors on good engines that have had compression tests with perfect, 400 psi nice and even, I get to know what normal is, okay? What normal is about 600. Now, down as low as low fives, I don't think it's, from memory, it's coming back to me. 510, I think, is the minimum. 510 to 710. There you go. See, like magic, it came back to me. So, the Pilot 1 and Pilot 2, they're 380 to 430. No, 380 to 480. Right, so about 430 is the middle road, and it can go 50 each way. The main injection period is 510, 710. So about 600's right. So you can see it's well within specification. Now, they do jump around a bit. See, it jumps right up near 7. I'm not too worried about that. When you've got an old worn set of injectors, what you're going to see is it's going to be up around 700 all the time. It's going to be up around 800. It's going to be up around 900. It's going to be up around 1,000. It's going to be jumping all over the place, 200 either way. Now, if you've got any one of these things happening, that's where you need to look at the other readings. Now, we can go on to a bit further down to the timing. Let's have a look at it so you know what normal is. I'm going to show you what normal is, right? Well, let's have a look at fuel pressure while we're there. Here you go. Fuel pressure while it's warming up. Once it's at full operating temperature, the target common rail will go to about 35,000 kPa. Well, not about exactly. And the fuel pressure normally follows along slightly below the actual actual fuel pressure, right? You can see there, not bad. It's about 1,000 or 200. That's around about what they do. This will all change, right? What I want to show you is the timing: 20, 14, and 2. That's around about normal and kind of, look, up to. Look, let's not even talk about it because it rarely goes out, and we're just going to confuse things. So I'd rather get away from that. I'll show you what normal is. We'll go back there once we're at full operating temperature to show you what normal is. It can go a couple of degrees either way, sort of thing, right? So whatever, no big deal. Sort of like 18. Right, let's get that out of the picture. Which way are we going? We're going the other way. We're going to go this way. Okay, so let's just go to the top quickly. Let's see what temperature. Coolant temp 72. See that calculate loads up to 12.9. Let's get this engine warmed up. So we're just holding it on about 2800 RPM, and that'll get a bit of heat into it so that we can get some readings. And if I'm not making too much noise, I'll give you some other info. Actually, I've got the door open. I'll close the door because I wanted to show you what it sounded like before. Now, 3 most important readings while we're doing this, actually, because it's going to take a while. So what we'll do, and they're not going to be right, but I want them on the screen. Well, I can't have them all. I can edit the screen actually and get them all on there. I'm not going to worry about it. My 3 most important readings. If you're going to give me 3 readings in a video to tell you whether your injectors on a 120 are any good, my top 3 are load, injection volume, and main injection period. They're the 3 that most commonly go out, okay? This is what can happen. Usually they all go up, right? The load goes up, so the load will go up to 18, 20, 25, right? If you see stuff like that, your injectors are flogged. And at the same time, you're probably going to see your injection volume up around 10, 12, 15, 20, 25, whatever. The higher it is, the more flogged they are, right? Off their heads, putting in double the amount of fuel. And also the main injection period, instead of being around 500, 600, it's going to be up there. It could be 1,000, 1,200, it could be 800, 900, right? They're your 3 main key factors. And it's not just about 1kds. You're going to find similar things on other vehicles, but you need to spend a lot of time on one particular vehicle to know exactly what. So I'm not going to tell you that's what happens on every other car, but I can tell you we can plug into other systems and have a look, and you see the same sorts of things. Now, you got to be careful because even on the 1kds with the later injectors, these sorts of things don't happen, okay? They don't make noise. A lot of these readings don't go out. Even when the injectors are flogged, not working properly, we replace them, they're all quiet again, they're using less fuel again. We can see the wear on them though. We know they weren't working right, so they can be quiet till the end on the later ones. But this is not about that. This is reminding you 120 Prado, 5-speed auto. We're not even going to say a Hilux. Hilux is going to be similar, but like I said, it's got a smaller torque converter on the auto. Often they're manuals as well, so it's going to be different. On the load, it's going to be different, but generally the same picture applies to you, right? With the load, with the injection volume, and with the main injection period. Very important. Okay, now we're going to go back to the top and just have a look what that coolant is. We must be close. Yep, there we are. 83. Generally these always idle on 83. This one, whether it's the temperature sensor or the thermostat that's out a little bit, it tends to idle on about 84, give or take one, you know. So you might see, there you go, 85. Before you're going to see stuff like that, so don't be confused. Any other vehicle, you can check my diagnostic videos. Most of them, they're going to be on 83. They do it really well, and thermostats are good, cooling systems are good, Toyota's design's good. Now, like I said, engine speed, see it's on 700 now. It's doing the 700, 699 thing, thereabouts, right? Okay. Load. Look, it's probably not completely a true reading, because really it's been sitting here idling for what, 20, 25 minutes, and it probably needs a drive and then come back and you stop at the lights. That's why it's good to have your auto fix 3210, because you can read that load reading and you're going to see it around about, it's just, you have it on your, it's like your fuel gauge. You want to have your coolant temperature, you want to have your load. You might even want to have your EGR position, so you can understand and learn about how open the EGR is, okay? So this one, it's jumping around either side of 12. That's no problem. Like I said, this is as good as like new. It's going to be lower at times. There's a few variables to that. Now let's just go down to these other ones, now that you know what normal is with that. Alright, let's go down to, oh, that happens a bit. Fat fingers, and this screen's getting a bit old too. Okay. Injection volume, what do we say it was going to be? About 6 either side, just a bit under. Funny that, look at that. Remember we said this is a good one. And notice how it's warmed up and the feedback values haven't changed, right? It's just what it is, okay? It's just how it is. Bada bing, don't worry about it until, okay, if everything else is okay, if your injection volume's okay and your main injection period's okay and your load's okay, and you see a reading now that's up around 3 with it warm, you got a problem, okay? Not at 1, not at 1.5 or even 1.8. If you've got a 3 and nothing else, you've got a problem, but you've got a small problem. Maybe something not to worry about. We need to look at things like, okay, how old are the injectors? Where did they come from? Were they new, genuine, fresh stock? Were they installed correctly? Were they over-torqued? Were the pipes... So many questions, which is why we make sure we supply the right, genuine parts, everything in the kit you need, and all the videos, so you can get it right the first time and avoid those problems. Avoid the problems. Big job. You don't want to do it every week, every year, every month, whatever. You want to do it every now and then, once maybe, or twice, every 5 or 10 years, probably 10 hopefully. Right, injection volume's good. Feedback for idle, see, it hasn't changed, don't worry about it. Feedback for learning, don't worry about it. Feedback for values, hardly worry about those unless you see a 3, a high 2, mid 2, higher 3 onwards when it's hot, or something weird's going on when it's cold where it goes really high, like 4 or 5. Now, what do we talk about Pilot 1 and Pilot 2, what normal is? Pretty close to 430, still going up to about 460 on Pilot 2 every now and then. No big deal. That could be a slight something going on, because I'll say they don't normally do that. Now it's time for you to go check my other videos, and the next video is coming to see if I'm right that they don't normally do that, or if I hadn't noticed. Because look, it's not doing it much, is it? Just there it goes again there. There it is again there. Notice how steady Pilot 1 is, around 430, really steady. And 2 is almost, see, it's jumped to 460 again. Something going on there, right? That's what I'm saying. So things happen. You can't replace your injectors every 6 months, every year, or every 2 years because little things like that though, right? It's the whole picture. You've got to understand it. You've got to get the whole picture and know when to replace them. And that's why sometimes it's easier by averages, because the average time and kilometers, and it varies from one injector to the other, obviously different injectors, different models and this sort of thing. So follow the recommendations. Our ballpark guide is the 7 years 170, whichever comes first, for a number of reasons, right? Not just the injectors, but the seats and whatever. Okay, Moving down, let's have a look at the timing just so you can be satisfied that, you know, what I said it was before was around about where it was going to stay, what normal is. That's all normal, right? So your 20, that can probably go 18 to 22. Your 14, it can probably sort of go 12-ish to 16-ish, but I can tell you they sit pretty steady. There's not saying there's parameters in the book I don't even remember, right? You can go, okay, oh, that's okay, that and that. But if you see 100 cars that don't do that, and you see 100 cars that stay on this timing, as soon as one does something different, I'm going, there's something going on, right? So the timing, it's a bit different on the 150s. We'll look at a 150 video again soon. This is what's normal, guys. I hope you got a whole heap of information out of that. Just go and give me the thumbs up now for that one, because I just spent half an hour for you. If you think I've earned your subscription, you haven't yet, please subscribe, turn the bell on so you don't miss out on the next one. The last thing we want to do is see you asking questions because, you know, you missed the next video. You've seen this one, you've got some questions. Don't ask them, wait for the next video is the best way. You can comment, asking questions, give me ideas for the next video, but don't go, some people, you know, I haven't got time to go and answer all the questions. It's especially when it's been covered in previous videos or yet to come. Hope you understand. What else can I tell you? Right. I told you your readings that are going to go out, didn't I? So your feedback values can go out, right? But more commonly, what goes out is your load, main injection period, and total volume, which is why it's really important to keep an eye on this load, right? Anyway, guys, I suppose the other thing we can quickly look at is the MAF. Maybe that EGR's shut at the moment. Let's have a look at it, because that's got a pretty good high reading there. I reckon maybe, let's have a look. EGR, where do we go? EGR. There you go, right? So the software does that every now and then, right? Target EGR position. So I'll help you understand something else here, right? So that's up to the ECU if it wants to do that, and target, and every now and then they do that. They go target 0. So if you're checking your MAF readings or something, you've got to check your target EGR position, right? It's on 0. And I noticed that from the reading because, again, specification for the MAF, see, fourth one down, mass airflow is at 5 to 12. Now, if you've got a dirty air filter, you're only going to get about 5. That means the engine's running on a lot more dirty exhaust gases, right? If you've got it up around 12, you've probably got a clean air filter and it's getting nice, clean filtered air. That's what you want. If you're seeing 16 to 18 like this, that's where it's all going past the MAF, right? Because the EGR's closed, right? Bada bing. Simple as that. Sorry about that, guys. Got interrupted by a phone call, but it was really good actually because I switched the engine off and on again, and now you can see we'll show you what's happening with the EGR. Like I said, they've got a mind of their own. I don't know what they decide to do. So the target EGR position now is, we've got the same, you know, it's been switched off for about 7 minutes, same conditions, and for whatever reason, sitting out idling now, it's on 86%, you know, and, you know, whatever. So you got to keep an eye on that when you're looking at your MAF reading, because it changes. You can see now it's down around the 13, right, which is a little bit higher than usual. Anyway, which is good. The higher the better, right? If you've got a low reading there, you've probably got a blocked air filter, and that means, think about it, right? What's coming through your air box, that's your cold, clean, filtered air. And what's coming through your, you know, when that goes higher, that's more cold, clean, filtered air. You know, as the engine speed increases, watch this. More cold, clean, filtered air, right? But at idle, as it goes higher, it's more through the air filter. If it goes lower, the engine's still running the same. It means more through the EGR system. What do you want to run your vehicle on? Anyway, guys, I hope that's been helpful. Thumbs up, subscribe, bell on. More videos coming your way. Bada bing, bada boom. See ya.